Hey guys, what a sick joke the mainstream media has become. I am making this video to share my thoughts on the most recent outbreak of bullshit narrative from the mainstream media, namely the Wall Street Journal and the 1,000 clones that followed them versus PewDiePie, and by proxy, the alternative media. For the purpose of this video, I will assume you have a base understanding of what has been going on in regards to this, or have at least heard of it. Much like the rest of mainstream media on any subject, it goes without saying that what they are indefatigably spewing out into the world is the purest form of unsubstantiated garbage, disinformation, rhetoric, and flat-out lies. Big surprise, right? I imagine Vox Day is screaming at the sky right now. I've told you a million times, the first law of SJWs, they always lie. Racist, sexist, misogynist, bigoted, xenophobic, Islamophobe, homophobe, transphobe, ex-apologist, fascist, Nazi, buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. How can anyone possibly take any of these words seriously anymore when the left has been throwing these words around so often and so casually that they have been reduced to nothing? The fact is we can't. And this is a dying stratagem that has been used by the left for far too long and should no longer be tolerated. It's a public shaming technique to assert dominance and authority, for only they have the correct ideology to cure you of your inherited and unavoidable sin if only you'd acknowledge their concerns and apologize. The fact of the matter is, the traditional media is dying and is desperately and pathetically reaching for any form of validation and attention it can receive, regardless of the greater harm to society it is causing. And this has never been more recognized within what I would argue is a new worldwide shift into a new zeitgeist. To quote the armored skeptic, old media is in its death throes, and what does an animal do as it is dying? It becomes irrational and starts becoming violent. It attacks anything around it. And what's the biggest target right now? PewDiePie. As is quite often the case, Armored Skeptic is right, and this is a perfectly astute metaphor for the state of the media. However, an argument could be made for the irrationality and violence to have always been prevalent in a predominantly leftist, untrustworthy, dishonest, arrogant, and ignorant media. Too many adjectives, I know, but I'm trying to condense a lot of thoughts down into this issue, which stems from a massive web of societal problems to do with political correctness, social justice warriors, censorship, and the like. This lashing out from the wounded creature that is traditional media was done for multiple reasons. 1. Standard issue SJW attack to virtue signal and pander to a closed-minded audience craving confirmation bias. 2. A sensationalist hit piece merely designed to get the attention of the public to slow an exponentially decreasing of their readers and website views. 3. A last-ditch attempt for the writers to have something to put on their resume before the industry completely fails. And 4, worst of all, they actually believe their own nonsense. If you have another explanation for the mainstream media's action over the past few years, I would honestly love to hear your opinion down in the comments. But whether it is one of these reasons or all of the above, this should not be abided by, and I think we will see over a short period of time that they have done much more harm than good to themselves. For example, Felix Kjellberg's response to this attack, at this moment in time, has just under 12 million views alone. The Wall Street Journal would shit their pants if they could come close to these numbers. On top of this, countless YouTubers, journalists, and everyday people are talking about this and are being exposed to the truth about traditional media and its irrelevancy in a society that has simply outgrown it. Much like the horse and cart business when the first cars came about, or more contemporarily, the music industry that has been so stubborn and unadaptable that it has buried itself 6 feet deep under the most generic, boring, and annoying pop music the world has ever suffered through. If we look at only a few of the results on YouTube right now around this issue, we very quickly reach numbers of around 20 million people exposed to this, and it is easy to understand the exponential effect if every one of these people are discussing it with others in their daily lives. After this attack on PewDiePie, the Wall Street Journal had the audacity to go to Felix Kjellberg's house and offer him a platform to defend himself. This is ridiculous and insulting when you take into account the aforementioned numbers. Felix has one of the biggest microphones in the world, and they came along and offered him the equivalent of a 10-watt amp in the middle of a hurricane. I would like to wrap up this video with a few last thoughts. Felix's apology. A lot of hard work and a sponsorship from Disney went out the window with this fiasco, all because some overzealous, antisocial, injustice cowards wanted some attention from a world leaving them behind. As Voxe states in his book, Social Justice Warriors Always Lie, don't try to reason with social justice warriors. There is no way you are going to be able to reason your way out of the situation. Most people who come under SJW attack have the causality backwards. They think the attack is taking place due to whatever it is they did or said. That's not the case. The attack is taking place because of who you are and what you represent to the SJWs, a threat to their narrative. In most cases, the SJWs attempting to discredit and disemploy you already wanted you out long ago. They are simply using the nominal reason given as an excuse to get rid of you. And if the attack is more the result of SJW status seeking rather than thought policing, that's arguably even worse, because if the motivation concerns them rather than you, there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. The most important thing to accept here is the complete impossibility of compromise or even meaningful communication with your attackers. SJWs do not engage in rational debate because they are not rational, and they do not engage in honest discourse because they do not believe in objective truth. They do not compromise because the pure spirit of enlightened progressive social justice dare not sully itself with the evil of the outdated and darkened. They are the emotion-driven, rhetoric speakers of whom Aristotle wrote. Before some audiences, not even the possession of the exactest knowledge will make it easy for what we say to produce conviction. For argument based on knowledge implies instruction, and there are people whom one cannot instruct. SJWs cannot be instructed. They have no interest whatsoever in talking to you or trying to understand you. Indeed, they will avoid you and do their best to minimize their communications with you, while constantly talking about you and explaining the real meaning of your words and your nefarious true intentions to everyone else. Remember, when undergoing an SJW attack, never apologize for anything you have done. I repeat, do not apologize. Do not say you are sorry if anyone's feelings were hurt. Do not express regret, remorse, or contrition. And do not say anything that can be taken as an apology in any way. Just in case I am not being sufficiently clear, do not apologize. Normal people seek apologies because they want to know that you feel bad about what you have done and that you will at least attempt to avoid doing it again in the future. They seek apologies within the context of an expectation of a better future relationship with you. This is why it is important to apologize to normal people you have harmed in some way, so that you can mutually repair the damaged relationship through the bonding process of repentance and forgiveness. When we sincerely apologize to those we have inadvertently offended, this process actually strengthens the relationship and often leads to improved mutual understanding. None of that applies to SJWs. They don't care how you feel. They don't care about your future behavior. They don't expect to have a future relationship with you. And there is absolutely no chance they are going to forgive you for anything. You are, after all, a dangerous thought criminal. When they push you for an apology after pointing and shrieking at you, what they are seeking is a confession to bolster their indictment. They are like the police down at the station with a suspect in the interrogation room, badgering him to confess to a crime. And like all too many police these days, The SJWs don't really care if you did it or not. They're just looking for a confession that they can take to the prosecutor. This means that every apology, every compromise, and every attempt to find common ground will be viewed as a display of weakness, a lack of confidence, and a damning evidence in the case concerning which they intend to prosecute you. Therefore, the correct answer to a demand for an apology is always no. Fox Day goes on to state, an apology is not going to relieve the pressure on you, it is only going to increase it. To the SJW, an apology is merely the first step in the ritual act of abasement and submission, after which one must recant any previously expressed doubts about the narrative and declare one's intentions of future adherence to it. It is very difficult to see what happens when one simply refuses to fall in line with their demands. A refusal to play along with their game quickly strips the mask of sanity from their faces and reveals the angry, shrieking madness underneath. Never forget that they have no certainty of a win without your compliance. So do not, under any circumstances, apologize. Not even if you feel genuinely bad about what you have done, or if you suspect you may have genuinely hurt someone's feelings. Remember that they don't believe in forgiveness, they don't believe in repentance. All they are looking for is for you to condemn yourself so the show trial can begin. As one SJW has put it, apologies are not merely the end of a bad situation, they are the beginning of a promise to do and be better. So don't be under the false impression that an apology will put an end to anything. It will only serve as the start of the next stage of their attack. Be aware that once they have launched an attack on you, they will press you hard for an apology and repeatedly imply that if you will just apologize, all will be forgiven. Do not be fooled. I have seen people fall for it time and time again, and the result is always the same. The SJWs are simply looking for a public confession that will confirm their accusations, give them PR cover, and provide them with the ammunition required to discredit and disemploy you. Apologizing will accomplish nothing more than hand them the very weapon they require to destroy you. So in conclusion, Felix should not have apologized, but none of this should fall on his shoulders. This is just the latest outcry from a dying industry and a dying ideology. Enough is enough with this SJW political correctness crap. Dear mainstream media, you fucked up so many times and so astronomically over the past couple of years that I can no longer just do nothing about it. This is bigger than Felix alone now. You've ignited a fire in people that you, in no way, can control. There is no limit to the motivation people have to fight back against everything you stand for. And why is that? Please, take a seat and let me inform you. Because we are the generation that had to live with the results of feminism and its abominable offspring, social justice and political correctness. We are the ones that dealt with the single parents raising us and watching our fathers' lives be absolutely destroyed by marriage and the kind of slavery needed to only just scrape by. And that's if our fathers were even around. You are the society that says shouting at and beating children is spanking or correcting, and continue to do it regardless of its enormously destructive and harmful effects. You are the society that calls male genital mutilation circumcision and then won't talk about it because it's too taboo. You are the society that buried the young underneath an incomprehensible debt and then ridicule us for somehow not being able to claw our way out of the bear trap that is welfare. We are the generation that have lived with a school system so disenfranchising that we became depressed and anxious. We are the generation that couldn't sit still in these bafflingly shitty schools. And so what happens to us? You drugged us. We were pumped full of drugs. A lot of the time extremely unnecessarily, all the while hearing just how bad drugs are on that thing in the house that just tells us about everything in the world that we just need to buy and believe. And now you want to pop your heads out and lecture us on how to be and what we can say? Sincerely, fuck you. We are also the generation that grew up with the internet in our homes from birth. And guess what? You can't lie to us. I don't know if you think it's been working, but the world has been laughing at you for a long time now. You're a joke. You've created yet another enemy, and we can look forward to long and prosperous careers replacing you by merely doing what you never could. Deliberating truth. And just to join the party in misquoting Pewds, there's actual hatred and real issues in the world. Why don't we focus on that? We're still here. We're still fighting this narrative. Nice try, relevant media. Try again, motherfuckers.